They spoke of a particularly persistent visitor from the supernatural world, the noonday demon who showed up between the hours of 11 and 3 when the sun's at its peak and deep weariness set in. This was the time they were most likely to be overwhelmed by sadness and longed for escape. They felt, as people so often do today, that they were trapped on a treadmill they couldn't get off. Today, such anxieties often go with the fear that other people are getting more out of life than you are. The gap between expectation and reality is just too great. Looking at last week's figures, a number of medical experts concluded that the best treatment for mild depression is some form of talking therapy. Those ancient monks would have agreed. They were all encouraged to have a mentor experienced in the ways of the desert who could guide them on how to fight their lone wood, and when it was more appropriate to relax their efforts and take a break. It was crucial to learn how to trace their ups and downs so that they could get some distance from them. Today's talking therapies use similar techniques, helping people to live in the present moment as an antidote to the swirling fear that often accompanies depression. Severe depression is a terrible, life-threatening illness, but for many of us experiencing its milder forms, it can be an opportunity for a spiritual education.
And that was Thought for the Day with Canon Angela Tilby. The time is 8 minutes to 8.
It is an unspeakable tragedy, one of Greece's most difficult moments. So says the Prime Minister, Alexis Tsipras, as teams of rescuers continue to count the dead and to look for those still listed as missing after the horror of the wildfire that swept through the Greek resort of Mati. We can hear now from our correspondent James Radlisson, who's there.
You could see how close safety was for a lot of people here in Mati. This street, which is entirely burned out, there are charred cars on either side, is just about 100 metres away from the ocean. I can see it past a couple of burned down trees, and of course for years people here thought that was the thing that would save them. If there was a forest fire, they would simply get to the sea. Some of them managed to do so. Can you tell me your name?
Konstantinos Trentafiliadis. I had the feeling that I can do almost nothing, just run. There were flames everywhere, even close to the sea. I was trying to tell my wife we survived and we will be okay.
Did you believe what you were saying?
No, I don't really believe that. I mean, this is the end.
The police have cordoned off one area in this resort. I can just see in the distance several people still searching through the ground, and this is where more than 20 people huddled as they were trying to escape, and they all died. The authorities here are trying to make sure that they've gone through every piece of ground here. Panayotis Dagalos stands next to a car with burns down the right side of his body. He's come back to find out what happened to his wife, Tisa Yakara. When the fire came, the couple were together with their 3-year-old son.
The afternoon 6:30, we started preparing our things to put them in the car. And at the moment we were together here to start the car, all cars were here. I took my baby and ran towards the sea, while my wife, I didn't know what happened. I think she burned herself here.
You last saw her right here?
Yeah. We are looking for her. I left to the sea. I think she left herself here.
And what was the last thing you said to her?
Το παιδί, the child.
The child. What's strange about the fire, which shows you the speed of the fire, is just how some trees have been completely charred and burnt down, the ones I can see to one side of the road, and others have survived completely untouched. Just looking straight ahead at some pine trees, they are green and they are untouched, suggesting that the fire just jumped over them and hit the cars and hit the buildings here in what was obviously, to the residents here, a scene of panic and fear. What is your name?
Mary Lee Ferry. This is my house. It was very sudden. We couldn't do anything. and we went in the house and we...
There will be a lot of dry weather to come through the rest of the day today. Plenty of sunshine, a little bit of fair weather cloud bubbling up as the day goes by, and temperatures lifting into the mid-20s across Wales and western counties of England. But the heat really is further east across the Midlands, central southern England and all of eastern England too, where temperatures into the high 20s to low 30s will be widespread. I think today's top temperature about 32 degrees Celsius later on. Now for Northern Ireland, we've got a bit of high cloud in the sky that will make the sunshine rather hazy. We could just about see an odd isolated shower across the far northwest, but otherwise it's a dry day. Temperatures 22 degrees. In Scotland, well, there certainly will be some showers affecting the Western Isles and potentially the Highlands later on this afternoon. There will be quite a bit of high cloud in the sky across the northwest of Scotland, but otherwise plenty of sunshine across central and eastern areas of Scotland, and temperatures reaching a high today of around 23 degrees in Edinburgh. Now, over the next couple of days, we'll see the temperatures continue to rise across many eastern areas of the United Kingdom, probably peaking into the mid-30s either Thursday or Friday. But the other thing we'll see with the weather is increasingly the weather's going to get increasingly unstable, the atmosphere getting unstable. We'll start to see some heavy thundery showers breaking out. They could come along Thursday afternoon, but more likely Friday and Friday night, and they could bring an awful lot of rain, bring a risk of some localised flooding, maybe a month's worth in the space of just a few hours. That's it.
Thanks, Chris. Tomorrow morning, Evan Davis will address stereotyping.
You might think you're a decent person and thus immune to negative stereotyping of others. People of different races, Americans, investment bankers or whoever. Well, on Sweet Reason this week, we'll put you right. We all stereotype and can't function without doing so. So we'll examine whether our stereotypes tend to be true, and if they are, whether we should feel free to say them out loud. And by the way, we'll hear gypsies tell us what they think about the negative stereotype that they steal more than other groups. That's Sweet Reason with me, Evan Davis, on BBC Radio 4, tomorrow morning at 9.
In the next hour of the programme, the Irish Foreign Minister Simon Coveney, and fancy taking up bell ringing. It's a dying art which needs more volunteers.
You're listening to Today on Radio 4 with Michelle Hussain and Justin Webb. O'clock on Wednesday, the 25th of July. The headlines this morning: 3 days of national mourning are being observed in Greece as the authorities suggest that wildfires that killed more than 70 people could become the deadliest in post-war Europe. Police investigating a suspected acid attack on a 3-year-old boy in Worcester have charged 5 men. The ministers from the British and Irish governments are going to meet in London to try to break political deadlock in Stormont. BBC News is read this morning by Corrie Caulfield.
Officials say they believe the number of people killed in wildfires that devastated coastal towns in Greece could rise to more than 100, making the disaster the deadliest of its kind in post-war Europe. 74 people are known to have died, but many are still missing, with firefighters working through the